we have all of our material, all of our assets in here, we are going to go ahead and create our DVD. Now, one thing you can do is use some of the stock templates in here to create your menu, but I want something a little more custom that isn't going to look like everybody else's DVD, and that's why I created, excuse me there, our custom menus in Photoshop that we've already brought in. So to create our main menu, DVD Studio Pro automatically opens up a menu and a track, and we're going to go ahead and use these and create a few more along the way. I'm going to grab my image for my main menu that I created in Photoshop and just drag it right in here, and there it is. And you can also use template buttons to create your text next to the buttons, but I really wanted more control, and I wanted this certain font that corresponds with the film itself, so I created that in Photoshop as well. What I'm going to do to create my buttons is I'm still going to use a stock button. Over here I'm going to just select the Styles tab, Apple, Buttons, and I'm going to go down, let's see, the satin blue one's the one I want to use. I'm just going to grab it and pull it in. And you'll see that when you pull these buttons in, here is where you can add your custom text. So if your Photoshop menu image doesn't have text on it, you can still create it here in DVD Studio Pro. But I'm going to just drag this guy right next to my play movie text. I'm not going to worry about resizing the button right now either. In fact, the bigger it is, the easier it is to work with. If you make it too small right away and need to make changes, it makes it really hard to grab. So I'll resize all of my buttons at the end. So I'm going to rename this over here. I'm going to call it Play Movie. And I'm going to delete the text for the button. So again, this little text box down here is where you would type in your text in DVD Studio Pro, where it would say Play Movie if you want to, but I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to create another button for my bonus features. Just going to drag it up next to bonus features. Give it a name. Remove the button text. And now we have two buttons for our main menu screen. We need to point it to something, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in my actual movie track. And this Fine Cut 11 down here is the film itself. So I'm going to drag it into the track. And you'll see that I just drug in the video file, even though in Compressor I made separate video and audio. These two, in the eyes of DVD Studio Pro, are married together, so you just need to drag in the video track, and you'll see here in the timeline it did bring in the audio and the video as one file. Now we're not seeing an image up here because my first frame is black, but if my first frame started with a credit or an image, you would see that very first frame in the little viewer up here. Now that we have our track in here and we have our buttons made in the menu, we need to tell these buttons how to get to the material. So I've got the button open. I don't actually. This is where larger buttons come into play. I'm going to go ahead and make it bigger so I can just grab it. Selected the button here. We need to tell it that this button needs to play the movie. So you can think of it as this. We need to give it a target to shoot at. So we're going to change our target, and I'm going to move this over so we can see all the drop downs here. To our track, Fine 11. And I don't have chapters set in here. You can set chapters if you'd like. I'll go over that in a tutorial later on. But I'm just going to go ahead and select the whole track. You'll see up here on our map, our graphical map, that it is now pointing to, the main menu is now pointing to our movie. But we need to go one step further. I'll leave that over here. We need to tell our movie what to do when it's done playing. And in this case, I want the DVD to go back to the main menu. So exactly where target was is where we tell it where our end jump needs to go. So I'm going to select menu. I'm going to move this over a little bit more so you can see it. And we're going to go back to the main menu, but I want it to highlight the bonus features buttons, because when they're done watching the movie, I want them to say, oh, look, there's more features, and all they have to do is hit the enter button instead of scrolling down to bonus features. So when our movie's done playing, it's going to go back to the main menu. Now, there's one more thing I want to add to our main menu, and that is music. I want some music playing in the background, so when people put the DVD in, gives a little added dimension. And I've, in Pro Tools, I've tweaked some music that we had from the movie, and I'm just going to grab it, drag it over here, and you'll see the duration of this music clip is listed right here, but the duration of the loop of our menu is shorter than that. Since we just have a single field, it's just this picture of one of the characters in the film, I'm going to let it know, hey, we're not doing any rotation, and I'm going to change the duration to match the duration of the music so it doesn't flash on the screen while the music's playing. Now we have our main menu built. It points to the movie goes back to the menu, we have two buttons built on the menu. I want to simulate this and see what it looks like. So we can hear that our music is playing. We have a button here, we have a button by the bonus features, and like I said, I'm going to clean up these buttons later on once I know that the DV is working the way it's supposed to. Go ahead and close that. And in our next tutorial, I'm going to build the bonus feature menu and show you how to make the DVD.